this week I seem to keep myself busy with lots of different things which weren't directly related to getting The Art of Resurrection or any other project made. They were just, I don't know, kind of like housekeeping things. I sold a few things on eBay. I was doing a few things around that, and I seemed to get pulled in different directions without realizing it. And that happens sometimes. You get a bit frustrated because you haven't taken concrete steps, but life's like that. So you just got to kind of take a breath and keep going. One thing I did do was meet a wonderful filmmaker from Austria, and we talked. We were just, I don't know how long we thought we'd talk for, but we ended up talking for about 2.5 hours. And it was both around, I originally contacted him about a role in, a possible role in a film he's making. And then we just talked about that, and then we talked about filmmaking in general and writing and making films in different countries and actors and funding and pretty much everything really. And I really enjoyed it. Usually I don't, that kind of thing, but I really enjoyed it, and he's a very nice man, and you know, fingers crossed we get to work together on something in the near future. And it got me thinking about, you know, networking with other filmmakers. And as you know, I've mentioned before, I'm an introvert by nature, and the thought of going to a networking event just, well, it doesn't fill me with enthusiasm, let's say. But I do think there's a lot of value in meeting with other filmmakers. And I realized that, you know, I'm an idiot, because just because I don't feel comfortable in big networking events, it doesn't mean I can't organize to meet other filmmakers one-to-one over a coffee and a chat. I mean, that's much more suited to my personality, and you know, there's a lot to gain from just sitting down and having a chat with another indie filmmaker. Even if it's just, you know, someone who understands your pain. You know what I mean? It's every indie filmmaker has similar challenges, the ones I've met. Well, certainly on the lower end of things, maybe when you've, you know, making indie films for 20 million or something, then it's a bit different. But at the other end of the scale, it's always a challenge, always. So just having a coffee with someone who, you know, can empathize really with what you're going through, struggling to get your film made or your script written or cast it right or get the right people involved, or the big one of course, find money. They know all those feelings and they've been through it. So I should meet more, and meeting this lovely man from Austria on during the week made me realize that. So I had a few ideas and I wrote them down because, as you know, I would forget them otherwise. The first one is job opportunities and referrals. I mean, excuse me. I mean, if you meet someone just for a chat, it could lead in any direction. You know, you might get an opportunity to work on a film, for me as an actor or a filmmaker, out of that chat. You just don't know. And even if you're just chatting generally, something they say might, you may recall later, and vice versa, and just say it's me. I think, oh, so-and-so, that woman I met that day and had a chat with about filmmaking, I think she'd be great for this. You know, you just don't know when it's going to pop back up. So it's good to have those, excuse me, those chats, and you never know where it will lead. And you really need every avenue open for opportunity when you're an actor or an indie filmmaker. And if you do go to events, and as I said, it's not my thing, but if you do go to events, you know, you're meeting, obviously there's going to be a lot of other indie filmmakers like you there, but you may meet producers who will help your film get made. You may meet agents who will want to represent you. You may meet just other filmmakers that want you on their job, and it just kind of raises your profile at those kind of events, I think, which is probably why I should go to them, but I don't know. Whenever I go to events like that, for me personally, it's more like a fight or flight response I have, and flight always wins. So, yeah. And making those connections, and if you do it continually long term, I think it probably builds up trust. You know, the more you deal with someone, the more you meet someone, I think naturally you trust them more. And during that time, you've probably done some work, they can see your work, and you know, investors, producers, I would think naturally build up a level of trust in you. All of these things, as always, are my views. So, you know, you may have a completely different take on things. And the other good, excuse me, the best thing for me is that meeting these different people could spark ideas for your own projects or for new projects. Because when you meet them, they're like you and they have ideas, and you throw things out at each other, and they might solve your problem, your creative problem, or you might solve theirs, or you might give each other completely different exciting paths to go down. So, you know, that's, for me, that would be the biggest advantage of going to one of these group meetings. But all those other reasons I just mentioned are usually the main ones. Along that, you know, well, I think I just mentioned these things: building skills, acquiring knowledge, learning from your fellow filmmakers. You know, if you don't learn directly, they may point you to the direction where you will learn, and you know, the sharing of ideas and problem solving. All that's great. I think I have to do that, but for me, I think I have to do it one-on-one or one-on-two or something, because that's the way I feel comfortable, for better or worse. And the last point I had on my list here was that it's a support network. If you're going off track, and being an indie filmmaker can be very isolating. So, and you can feel like you're, you know, on an island all by yourself at times. So having those connections, having that support network can be a big boost emotionally and psychologically. as well as professionally and creatively, as I've mentioned. And in a lot of ways, that's really important, because it's an insanely difficult struggle, a struggle which you have to go over, any number of years for a single project. Money's always a challenge. Because you're at the lower end of the scale, people will come and go on your project because they get better opportunities and they have to pay their rent and feed their families. So, you never hold any grudges about that. You just realize that that's going to happen. But it just makes it tougher. And, technical problems, all the other problems I've mentioned in previous videos, it can be isolating and it can be depressing. And it can make you question why you're doing it. And sometimes you need help with that. And just, without explicitly saying that, just sitting down talking with another indie filmmaker can ease that, because you're talking to a kindred spirit. So, yeah. So all of this rushed into my head after meeting this wonderful man from Austria, and I will mention his name in future in the project when I'm allowed to. I think that, talking with him, stuff just came out of me and it just flowed very easily, and I realized that I need more of that as an indie filmmaker, and I need more of that as a human being that is an indie filmmaker, if that makes sense. Anyway, it was all good, is the summary. And I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed meeting with him, and I enjoyed the experience. So, yeah, even though I didn't make any progress on The Art of Resurrection or any of the other projects in tangible terms, I made a lot of progress by just having that exchange. Thanks for watching. It'd be great if you could like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. I hope to see you on the next one.